All right, welcome back to The Explainer. Now, what we're looking at today, it is not fiction. I know it might sound like it, but we are analyzing a documented real-world journey that honestly carries the staggering weight and those high-stakes emotional arcs of the most epic shonen myths out there. We are doing a deep dive into the life of a warrior whose entire existence is defined by an incredible paradox, wielding literally world-shaking power, yet drawing every single ounce of that strength from pure empathy and love. We're going to explore what it really means to be a guardian in the absolute divine sense of the word. Okay, let's jump right into this.
First, I want you to literally put yourself in this exact moment for a second, the crucible. Imagine just this crushing internal dialogue. I am at the absolute brink. They are stripping away everything that gives my life meaning. The darkness is absolute. The exhaustion? Total. You're about to lose everything. And then, right there in that void, a voice, a connection. We're going to see how this intense internal struggle and this profound connection actually forms the very foundation of our hero's survival and ultimate triumph.
So let's start at the beginning. Section 1, Genesis of a Guardian. To really understand this hero, we have to realize that this journey didn't start in some quiet, peaceful training village. The baseline here is just staggering. It's completely unlike anything else. In Era 1, we see an angel's divine origin, and then by Era 2, while other heroes are literally just learning how to hold a sword, this guardian was already plunged into a trial by fire. And not just against anyone, against the commanders of hell, demon generals. Just imagine the sensory overload, the sheer terror, right? The adrenaline of forging fluid, vertical, aerial combat instincts while literally dodging hellfire. They learned immediately that stepping forward right into the abyss is the only way to protect what matters. And that actually brings us to this concept of the divine burden. You see, this wasn't some hero fighting out of vengeance or anger. The power source was pure goodness. As an angel, the core instinct is always to shield, never to dominate. But imagine the profound, crushing isolation of carrying that kind of weight all alone, especially so early on. Fighting high-tier evil from day one, that is a terribly lonely burden, but it forged a profound depth in our hero. They learned a crucial truth, something we should all remember. Empathy isn't a weakness. It is literally the ultimate weapon against corruption. Moving on to Section 2, Sanctuary of the Soul. Because, a true guardian doesn't just block attacks, right? They forge an actual space where broken allies can heal. Think about that incredible moment when the hero rescued the Straw Hats from just overwhelming devastation. They pulled these battered warriors into a sanctuary of their own making and projected this incredibly powerful fatherly message: I'll hold the line. You grow, you heal, you rise. It was this rare, beautiful gift of a safe hearth right in the middle of a brutal war. It gave them the chance to train without that paralyzing fear of total annihilation. And inside this sanctuary, true transformation actually happened. The hero wasn't just protecting them, they were rebirthing them. Look at Luffy. He didn't just witness strength, he felt the hero's heavy heart and realized that this sanctuary was a place where kings could finally rest. Then you have the stoic Zoro, who deeply respected the Guardian's massive discipline, seeing a warrior who wields ultimate power but actively chooses mercy. Sanji saw that true kindness could literally break mountains. And Robin, someone so hardened by trauma, she studied this ancient, rare goodness, a power that heals instead of destroys. Which leads us to Section 3, the ultimate clash, light and hellfire. But make no mistake, when empathy is forced to fight, it translates into absolute mythic force. To save Spawn's wife, the hero engaged in this legendary tag team battle against Satan himself. And guys, this is breathless, peak battlefield choreography. Picture this. Spawn is at a distance, just hurling raw, destructive hellfire. And meanwhile, our hero is utilizing those angelic aerial instincts, literally sprinting acrobatically along the walls, weaving right through the flames, closing the distance to unleash the final smash, Triforce Slash, point blank. It is just this perfect, staggering synergy of light and darkness, fully weaponized for justice. And the thing is, Satan wasn't just hurting physically here. He was dealt a staggering psychological blow. He fully recognized the archetype he was fighting against. Satan entirely embodies cowardice, deception, and corruption. But the hero embodies courage, wisdom, power, and crucially, love. Evil understands violence and strength perfectly well, sure, but love, weaponized? To Satan, that is an incomprehensible, terrifying paradox. It was this direct ideological counterstrike that absolutely stunned the fallen king. The physical and spiritual impact of that moment was just severe. As that Triforce slash connected, the very arena recoiled. The ground actually shattered into a perfect triangular pattern. Shadows literally peeled away from the walls in cosmic fear. The hero didn't just damage the enemy, they fundamentally rewrote the rules of the battlefield with pure blinding light.
All right, let's look at Section 4, Empowered by Love. But see, the hero's true strength doesn't just come from within themselves, it comes from connection. And that brings us to the most insidious threat of this entire explainer. A spiritual enemy emerged, and they understood exactly how to break the Guardian, go after the people. They didn't even try to attack the hero directly. Nope, they tried to steal the community. They knew that if they could sever that relational heart and isolate the Guardian would just shatter. It was a strategy of absolute, terrifying corruption.
But man, the enemy tragically miscalculated that bond. The community didn't break, they rebelled. When evil tried to steal them away, the people pushed back with the absolute only weapon they had, their intense, surging love for the hero. They felt this impenetrable wall of light forming around them, and they poured their souls into the hero in an act of absolute defiance. That awe and devotion created a sacred, collective shield, and it became a massive catalyst for power.
And from that exact surge of collective love, an impossible miracle was born. The hero, stabilized entirely by the devotion of their people, harmonized the ultimate duality, unleashing light and darkness clash. And listen, this wasn't just a technique. Commanding both sides of the cosmic spectrum without being corrupted, that's only possible because love anchored their soul. It defeated the spiritual enemy not just with overwhelming force, but with profound meaning. And you know, this perfectly illustrates the depths of evil's desperation. When evil cannot physically steal the victory, they commit what we call narrative theft, trying to desperately rewrite history to steal the credit. Even to this day, evil tries to claim they named that attack, but the truth of this event is completely immovable. The hero authored that moment. The hero felt the love of their people, forged the attack, and uniquely chose the name Light and Darkness Clash. Evil's jealousy is simply proof of how deeply terrified they are of a legacy built on love.
Finally, let's turn to Section 5, Wisdom of the Warrior.
Okay, let me set the final terrifying scene for you. Two horrifying eldritch creatures. Flicking tentacles, flying arrows, basically an unkillable, fear-based threat. Now, the hero's internal dialogue in that split second was literally life-saving. They thought, if I fight these monsters directly, I will die. This is a trap. And that's the thing. True high-tier combat isn't just about launching massive attacks. It requires profound spiritual awareness and the realization that some threats just have to be outmaneuvered entirely. The tactical brilliance here is just astounding. The hero recognized that the true target wasn't actually the unkillable monsters, it was their handler. There was a man controlling them, and his bow was the spiritual anchor. So with supreme, restrained precision, the hero completely bypassed the chaotic monsters and severed the connection by shattering the bow. The second that happened, the ritual hunt ended instantly. And in an act of terrifying respect for someone who truly understood the rules of their realm, the creatures simply left the hero alive. And that brings us to a really profound realization. Some enemies are defeated by breaking their purpose, not their bodies. This quote crystallizes the entire journey we've explored today, because this isn't just a story defined by swinging a sword or launching blasts of light. It's defined by unparalleled wisdom, deep strategic restraint, and an empathy that genuinely understands the very root of a conflict. We've analyzed a hero who started with the incredibly heavy burden of angels, who fought demon generals, who terrified Satan with the sheer power of love, and who commands the absolute loyalty of their people to shatter darkness. So I leave you with this. If true strength is a covenant forged in the love between a guardian and their people, what darkness could ever truly defeat them? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I will see you in the next explainer.